Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
We got another rookie coming in number 58 on our countdown. Jarrett Kingston, 6th-round pick, offensive lineman, going to be kind of a guard only, which is a little bit different in kind of the 49ers philosophy. Usually versatility, usually all these things. But one of the important things to understand is even though Jarrett Kingston was drafted, even though Jarrett Kingston was a 6th-round pick, Shanahan and John Lynch came out and said, look, we're looking at like 5 rounds of draftable players in this draft. Jarrett Kingston, through no fault of his own, I think the Niners see him as an undrafted free agent plus, and the grades kind of grayed out on that, whether that's Dane Brugler, whenever the 49ers official list came out with all their meetings, shout out to Steph Sanchez and all that stuff, it was like, all right, this is a guy the 49ers have met with. And I think we did 205 prospects in our draft book. And so he was on my short list of guys to get to. We started running out of time. I watched a couple clips of him, watched a quarter of them, and I was like, you know what? I don't think that I'm going to be giving this player 1st through 7th round grade. So I pulled him off. So I was aware of him. I had a little bit of draft write-up, but I pulled it from our official draft book because I was like, man, I'm not going to have time to do my full 2-game analysis of him before the draft. So he was one of the guys that kind of got bumped out. But make no mistake, 7 rounds of players are going to get drafted. So he's draftable, and he was drafted, but I'm not quite sure where he fits on the depth chart, and we're going to break that down. There's a lot of things to really like about Jarrett Kingston. Shout out to Josh, the writer and producer of today's show. He's a fun player. Wears jersey number 62 for the 49ers, comes in at 58. And we had 4 polls, 1 through 91, ranking the entire roster. His highest was 53. His lowest was 64. And the 49ers have done really, really well on keeping their draft picks on their roster, no matter how good the roster becomes. And I think, last year you had Cameron Latu kind of stashed on IR. You let go of Tariq Castro-Fields, a couple years ago. That's about it. All the other rookies have made the roster. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like, they have had the opportunity to make the roster. I don't know at this O-line position. And when we look at the numbers, it's tough. Now, the good, okay? 6'4", 306. And if there's one thing that I can say about Jarrett Kingston, hyper athleticism, experience. He has experience in 3 separate schemes. 3. The air raid, my man Mike Leach, rest his soul, man. One of the greatest personalities in the history of football. And again, he even talks about it. I'll play this right. Like, his first 2 years with Mike Leach at Washington State, he was there at Washington State for 4 years, then he goes to USC. He's kind of had a myriad of experiences. Here's him talking about, playing for Mike Leach at Washington State and then the difference later in his career at USC.
I'd say so. Yeah, I think like the 2 years I did have Mike Leach, we really only pass blocked, even like in practice. We run blocked a little bit, but yeah, I think so. Just having so many reps at it really helped me with that.
And then as your career progressed, you got more run blocking work in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who would you credit, or what kind of system and work would you credit for being able to polish that to get drafted?
Yeah, I think this last year with like Josh Henson, my offensive line coach at USC, really helped me with the run blocking, inside zone, outside zone, gap scheme, and not just like physically able to do it, but like mentally, like learn more about it in general too. So I think this last year at USC, I really took another step with it.
Shout out to Lombardi. You hear the voice asking the questions. Great questions. Great work by him. And also shout out to Jarrett Kingston. He's wearing a National Hot Rod Association t-shirt, rocking the stash. He's from Redding, California, local kid, been on the West Coast his whole life. Yeah, where he grew up, goes to Washington State, then USC, then gets drafted by the Niners. There's just a lot of all right. You know what I mean? Mike Leach approved, National Hot Rod Associate. This dude's a lineman. He is a lineman. Country boy type mindset, personality. there's a lot to like. 6'4", 306, okay? 32.25-inch arms. He's going to be playing inside. He's not going to be playing outside with that. 24 years old, only 1 year younger than Ben Barch, his competition. Ran a 5.0240. That's great. That's top 93 percentile of guards. 1.710 yard split, good. 7.53 cone, good. 31.5-inch vertical, whew, for a big boy. Top 88 percentile of all guards. Great. 9.3 broad jump. Top 92 percentile. 36 bench press reps. The short arms. He's got some punch, and that came across in his tape. Now, you look at the athletic comps. Scott Quessenberry out of LSU, 85%. Danny Pinter, 85%. There's not a lot of, how do I say this? You put his numbers in, not a lot of NFL starting caliber players fit this. That's why he's the back end of the 6th round. That's where he is. You're drafting a hyper athletic, undersized, short-armed guy to play offensive line. It doesn't mean he can't do it. The 49ers role is perfect for him, and he landed in a great spot. He went to a power scheme. It wouldn't have worked. He's got an opportunity for it to work here. Went to Anderson Union High School, again, Redding, California. Graduated from Washington with a social science and gerontology degree. Was a 3-star recruit. So he was with Washington for 4 years. 2 years with Mike Leach, air raid, pass only. Then he had 2 years of kind of a mix, air raid / running scheme. Then he transfers to USC and zone blocking up there. So he's got, you love that. Like, you like to check off all these boxes of, he's got a myriad of experience. He's played a lot of football in his time in separate schemes. You like that. Was raised as a Rams fan. That kind of hurts a little bit. Not going to lie, especially growing up in Redding. Come on, man. But his cousin, Daniel Marks, was a fullback at Stanford. He was also the California, we're talking about Jarrett Kingston now, the California discus champion through 172.7. Pretty impressive throw there. NorCal all-offense back in 2017. Defensively at high school, 53 tackles, 30 for loss, 15 sacks. He was a player. He was a player. And his plan was to go pro after his time at Washington State, but he got a late leg injury and missed the last 4 games. And so because of that, he was like, man, this kind of hurts. You know, I'm not going to be able to do the testing, which is where he kind of shines. Elects to transfer, goes down to USC, has, plays with Caleb Williams, Brendan Rice, Marshawn Lloyd. A lot of talent on that roster. Terrible coaching. Shout out to Kingsbury. But while he was at USC, had a 3.3 GPA doing master's work, and he's played everywhere. Listen to these starts. This is what I like about this. The versatility, he's shown it. The 49ers are going to pigeonhole him into guard, though, I think. He's got 16 starts at left guard, 10 starts at left tackle, 6 starts at right guard, 5 starts at right tackle. In the NFL, guard only, maybe some center work, but what the 49ers have continuously shown with these interior offensive linemen that they bring in, whether that's Jason Poe, Nick Zakel, Spencer Burford, Aaron Banks, learn guard first. Learn guard first. Maybe we'll teach you some center. Year 2. Even Dominique Pooney, they're not putting him at center. They're not doing it. It might eventually, but they're saying guard only. Learn guard first, then maybe center. And so that's the same route Jarrett Kingston's going to be taking. Just got married in May of 2023. Congratulations. Learn to apologize. But then after that, let's go to the contract he got. It's slated. It's not like it's negotiated. 4-year, $4.1 million deal. Now, here's my write-up on him, okay? And again, shout out to Josh, who said, he's really excited about this kid. Josh stamps a couple guys every year. Last year, his guy, Robert Beal. This year, Jarrett Kingston's one of his guys he stamped. Here's my draft write-up of Jarrett Kingston. Athleticism, versatility, change of direction. The short shuttle, which got a lot of play. The 49ers came out and said, yeah, we didn't even look. We don't even measure that. But, change of direction does show on tape. And so whenever he tests on that, that makes sense. Gets tossed away by defensive tackles too often. Does not anchor against defensive tackles. But has a very mean, nasty streak whenever he gets a block, a defensive end, or an edge, or a linebacker. He's two different players. I could make, and we have a full breakdown up of the all-22 game tape of Jarrett Kingston at the 49ersrush.com. You can go sign up. It's up right now and on our Patreon page. Like, you watch the tape, and there's two different Jarrett Kingston. You block the tough defensive tackles, tape's not great. You put him on an edge or a linebacker or get to the second level, it's A+. It's like, oh, this is a, day 2 draft pick whenever he's getting to the second level or whatever else. You put him on defensive tackles, and you're like, this dude should not be drafted. And so can he learn how to anchor and how to play against bigger, stronger, imposing defensive tackles? That's what it's going to come down to for Kingston. Can the coaching get him there? Now, I love Chris Forster, the 49ers O-line coach. Kind of hard to pick offensive lineman that has been developed into a quality starter since he's been here. I'm just going to be honest. Not to say he doesn't develop, but Spencer Burford was at his best as a rookie. He's only, gone down. Colton McKivitz might have increased some, but you're not really seeing that upward trend. Aaron Banks, the injuries, that kind of is what it is. But, all right, who's going to be the guy that we could say we have developed this player into a starter? We haven't really seen it. Maybe you could throw out there Jake Brindle, who's a career journeyman backup, but I don't know. Now, back to my evaluation. At his best, when pulling or going to the second level, the athleticism shows every single play. It's on the tape. Good twitch for a guard. Feet are his best asset, but waist bends too often. That's a problem. So if you have good knee bend, and you can always see the numbers, right? Think about a silverback gorilla, right? You got Trent Williams right there, right? You can always see the chest. He bends at the waist too often. His balance gets over his toes. I don't like that. And so for a smaller guard to have bad balance, that's like a double negative. It's two wrongs, and I don't like that. So you could be smaller or have bad balance. You can't be both. And I saw that way too much in his tape. And that's another thing. You're coming from an air raid to, being coached at USC, which has some of the worst coaches. I'm sorry. It's just defense, offense, poorly coached. It's just what they do. And I hate that it's like that. And it's continued through several head coaches. Lincoln Riley's amazing, but good Lord. Look, let's just be honest. Kingsbury's not a good coach and did not develop this kid to where he could have been. And there's just so many fundamentals whenever you watch USC, whether that's Marshawn Lloyd, defense, offense, doesn't matter. There's issues that are just not coached out of players. They just tell them go be good athletes. And that's a problem. That's come across. Now, he does have 5 to 7 highlight reel blocks a game, which are incredible. And so if you watch the highlights, you're like, ooh, he's a fun player. But you watch the game tape, all right, the consistency is an issue. That's there. And, my final thing that I wrote was needs a lot of polish for someone who's already played 49 career games. He's older. 49ers go to redshirt this dude. He's not going to be playing a lot. He's not expected to play. I don't think he's going to be on the first or second team as far as guards go. You want to stash him, see if he can develop. But again, he's already 24. So you're stashing a 24-year-old, hoping he can play at 25. We'll see. Now, only missed 5 games in 6 years. That's awesome. PFF grades last year, 60.5 overall, 74.9 pass blocking. That's where he excels. 53.0 run blocking. That's where he's got to improve. 65.4 special teams. The athleticism shows. Was picked 6th round overall, 215. All right. Dane Brugler had him as the number 38 guard, a priority free agent. Did not have, a 7th round grade. He went in the 6th round. So we'll see. Played in 49 games, 37 career starts. Impressive. You look at the depth chart. Okay, you keep 4 to 5 interior offensive linemen. He's a guard only. So you got Banks, Brindle, Feliciano, Dominique Pooney. Those are your 4 locks on the inside. You might keep 1 or 2 more. Burford and Barch makes sense. Burford's the first guard. Barch, center guard prospect. He could do both. And he's got a ridiculous amount of experience, and he's only a year older. Then you get Jarrett Kingston, who's kind of by himself. Do you keep him because he's a draft pick? And then there's guys behind him. Nick Sikel can play center and guard. Drake Nugent, center only. Bryson Mays, center only. I don't know. How does this guy find a roster spot on the 53? I want to go back to he's drafted. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt. But you look at these numbers, and if it comes down to Ben Barch or Jarrett Kingston, I'm sorry. Ben Barch is a better guard now, and he can play center. And he's got ridiculous experience, and he was with the 49ers last year. How the world is Jarrett Kingston going to beat him out? I don't know, but we're going to find out. And if you cut this guy, you're not getting him back. He's going to go join another team. So if you want him, you got to stash him on the 53. You cut him, you're not getting him back on the practice squad. I'm telling you that now. He's a 6th-round pick. Somebody's going to snipe him. The depth the 49ers have on the whole line, I know people don't want to hear this, and I know it goes kind of against the narrative that's been put out there. They've got some ridiculous depth right now at the offensive line position. Now, is there a lot of top-end starter guys? I don't think so. I think you have Feliciano, and I think that you got a healthy Banks. Those two are starter-level NFL players when healthy. Brindle, below-average starter. Dominique Pooney, we'll see. Burford, he's got all the talent in the world, but it's gotten worse every year. And Ben Barch started 20-plus games in the NFL. So you've got the depth. It's just who's going to take it. And can Kingston be one of those young pups that comes up and says, now's my time, old man, and take one of those jobs? That's what he's got to do. So excited to see the rookie out there. He's a fun personality. Hopefully he gets some more time in front of the mic just because he seems like a fun guy. But, yeah, Jarrett Kingston, go out. Let's make something happen. Surprise. Earn one of these 53-man roster spots because next year a lot of guards are leaving. Now, this countdown is for 2024. We got him 58. But can he make it to the 53? That's the question. For us, we'll just keep counting them down.